Hi guys, this is a video that I've decided to make regarding a trait with cars, and in this instance I'm talking about my Mercedes C43, which is a 2017 year model. But I also had this issue with my previous car, which was a 2015 Audi TTS, and the issue in question is to do with throttle response and the feel of the throttle pedal itself, which I find can vary from day to day. And essentially there's two different kind of personalities that the car has as a result. So firstly, just to talk about those two variations. When the car is, in my opinion, feeling great, the throttle response feels very sharp. And I tend to keep this car in sport mode. Well, I say sport mode, I have it in individual settings with the drivetrain in sport. And the reason for that is because I like the sharper throttle response, and I find Sport Plus just a bit too raw. So on those good days, when you press the actual throttle pedal itself, it feels like you can just keep pressing it, and there's kind of endless power, and the feel of it is very granular and linear. And it makes it very easy to anticipate the power delivery of the vehicle. And when it's in that mode, let's say, just slight touches of the throttle can prompt a downshift in gears. And it's just a really enjoyable drive. The car feels like it's in perfect synchronization between throttle position, revs, gear change, and power delivery. And that's how I like the car to be. I don't like it to feel like it's feeling strained. And when it's in that good mode, it feels engaging to drive. It feels like it's enthusiastic, like it wants to go, and that you're not forcing it in any way. However, it's not always like that, and what you can experience is on some journeys, and it can last a few journeys, suddenly that crisp, soft throttle pedal sensation changes to feeling spongy and resistant. And to try and explain that in more detail, imagine you're pressing the gas pedal and it feels like it's physically pushing back, and that you're the general sensation of that is like you're feeling like the car doesn't simply want to go. And I'm not saying this is a fault with the vehicle by any means. It seems to be more just a trait and a behavior rather than there is an actual issue and that something's wrong. And when the car's like that, that whole enjoyment of driving it really does decrease, and I find it frustrating, and it really annoys me. And my Audi TT was the same. My TTS was the same, which had a DSG gearbox. And you'd have the same kind of patterns of one day it's eager to go, super responsive, and the next day it could be like you're just, I don't know, like someone's removed the turbo. And whilst I doubt there's any impact in performance figures in terms of horsepower and torque, it's the feel of how the car is that's my issue. So that's led me to try and figure out why there is this, I don't know, different feel from day to day in how the car drives. And initial research points towards that you need to perform what's called a TCU reset. And there's dozens of videos on YouTube and posts on various forums which run you through a process which you're probably familiar with if you're watching this video, whereby you turn the ignition on so your dash lights come on but the engine hasn't started. You push the throttle pedal down as far as it will go for an amount of time, 30 seconds or 10 seconds seems to be the common theme. You then turn your ignition back to off, release the pedal, wait for an amount of time. Some people say 2 minutes, some people say 5 minutes. And then that apparently resets something within the vehicle that basically makes it feel okay again. And by okay, I mean responsive, smooth, and eager to go. And what I'm trying to discern is whether or not that whole process is a thing and it does work, or if it doesn't. And I will say that I've performed that quite a few times, and there is a success rate, but it's not 100%. It doesn't always seem to work. But I would say, definitely in my experience, there is a positive change. And that may not be instant. It might be on that first journey, the car still feels the same. But then gradually, that super responsive sharpness comes back. What does worry me is some people that make those videos seem to be just reciting what they've read somewhere rather than actually having insightful mechanical knowledge of what is actually happening in that process. And there is such a variation between the amount of time that you're supposed to hold the pedal down, the amount of time you're supposed to wait before you drive the car, what things need to be turned off in the vehicle for it to work. Do you need to get out, open the door, close the door, get back in? There is a lot of inconsistency around that whole thing. And it does remain one of those things that, is it an urban legend or is it not? So what I'd like to achieve from this video is any feedback from anyone that says, yes, they've done that and it definitely works, or they've done it and it's just a load of tosh. Please let me know in the comments. The closest I could probably get to someone kind of adding a bit more detail on that process is a chap who has got a YouTube channel. He's got, I think, an E53, like a dark red metallic one, and he actually used Zentry to measure before and after figures upon performing this reset process. And his video highlighted that there was a change that could be seen in the physical data of the vehicle. So he seems to believe that it is a thing and it does make a difference. So yeah, it's frustrating because I love this car, but I'd like to be able to get in my car and know that on any given journey it's going to feel great to drive, rather than a kind of hit and miss scenario that it currently has. And it can really make you fall out of love with the car when it doesn't feel great. So yeah, I hope that what I've said some people can relate to. I sometimes genuinely think that I'm going mad and that this is all in my head, and actually the car always drives the same and it's just me. But I feel so strongly that that's not the case. There are just some times when this car is so much fun to drive because you feel so connected to the pedal engagement and how the car picks up. And then there's other times, and it tends to be a gut thing. My gut will tell me when I'm not happy with how it is, and it all relates to the throttle pedal and the feel of that. And like I said, I don't feel like this is a fault with the car. It does get scanned regularly for fault codes, and the only thing I had recently was some fault codes around the exhaust valve actuators, and that one of them was a bit, I don't know, it was getting, I think, stuck open or stuck closed, so I had that fixed, and that fault code has never come back. But the car still seems to have these off and on positive, negative behaviours. So that's my video. I'm trying to think if there's anything I've missed. I'd say, yeah, so when it's not feeling great, on those days where it doesn't feel engaging, it feels like you have to push the pedal down further to get a kick down in the vehicle, and particularly in the lower gears, it feels just flat and literally like someone has wedged a sponge under the accelerator. And it makes it difficult. Say like you're pulling away from a roundabout in first or second gear, it just feels like it's difficult to predict because it loses that granularity. It feels like the power delivery is difficult to predict, and it's difficult to pull away crisply and smoothly. And same with overtaking. It's difficult to know if it will drop down quickly, depending how hard you need to push the accelerator for it to do that, to pick up speed if you're overtaking. And it just takes away the whole enjoyment of the car, and it's so night and day the way that it feels. Anyway, I'll stop waffling now. I need to go to work. Hope you enjoyed the video, and any feedback on this subject would be amazing. Thanks, guys.